Then, what's this? I put one of the photos I got from the private investigator on the table.
This is Myra, and she suddenly got sick and there was nothing I could do about it. So we went into a hotel. We didn't do anything here.
Then, what's this? I took out the second photo as I said this.
For this one, I got sick and...
Then what about this one? Without pausing, I take out the third picture.
This is,
My name is Victoria, and I am 35 years old. I am currently the owner and manager of a certain restaurant. It started out as a small restaurant, and after 10 years, it has grown to become one of the most popular restaurants, and now it has about 15 employees. I married my husband Ted a year ago. My husband, who is 3 years older than me, was originally one of my store's regular customers. My first impression of him was that he's a bastard who talks without thinking and gets easily carried away. Later, this first impression would prove to be true, but I had no way of thinking that at the time. My husband visited the restaurant many times, and each time he would try to talk to me. Moreover, he always came to the restaurant just before the last order. This is also the time of the day when I would naturally have more time for conversation if he spoke to me.
You're always working alone until the end. Thanks for your hard work.
I fell in love with these words. It even made me forget about my initial impression of him. To begin with, I had stayed away from love since I was traumatized by my ex-boyfriend's affair. I was afraid of getting hurt again. When my husband asked me to go out with him, and I told him about my past trauma, he was very upset.
I can't believe he would do that to you, Victoria. There is nothing wrong with you. You don't have to drag out that past. I would never let you feel that way, Victoria.
I was so moved by his words that I started dating him. However, despite my worries I had of him, my relationship with my husband was going well. I was running a restaurant, so I didn't have much time for dates. But on the days when I couldn't see him, he would come to my restaurant to eat as a customer. I thought my husband was such a kind man and became more and more infatuated with him. When my husband asked me to marry him a year ago, I was delighted and accepted his proposal. I was happy every day. But that happiness slowly began to crumble after 6 months as a newlywed. 6 months into our new marriage, my husband quit his job and returned home. He resigned suddenly one day without even telling me about it beforehand. And he started to say it all on his own while I had no option to even argue about it.
I quit my job to help out at the restaurant.
What? No, my current employees are enough.
That's not true, is it? If I come in as an accountant, Victoria, you can focus in the kitchen, right?
No, I've asked my accountant to take care of the store, so that's not a problem.
Then why don't you fire your accountant and I'll do the accounting?
I've known my accountant since we opened the shop, so he understands what I need to do, and I have no intention of terminating our contract.
What? Even though I'm here?
I was pretty irritated at this point. I loved my husband, but I had no intention of having him involved in the store. My husband had his own work, and I never thought he would get involved with my store business-wise. He was a salesman, not an accountant. There was no way my husband, who had no expertise in such a field, would be able to handle the accounting field. Anyway, my store will be fine, so why don't you find a new job?
Oh, well, I'll work in the kitchen first then.
Huh? What do you mean the kitchen first then? I've been telling you from the beginning, right? I don't need your help. That tone makes it sound like you're looking down on my shop.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was saying things without thinking, you know. I'm really sorry. I just thought it would be wonderful if Victoria and I could become a couple and run a restaurant together. I'm really sorry.
No, that's not possible. In the end, I forcefully ended the discussion that day. However, 2 weeks after this, he was working in the kitchen because the girl who was in charge of the kitchen broke her leg and couldn't work. She is also a sommelier and was a really important employee for my restaurant. The doctor's diagnosis that she got was she needed 3 months of recovery. When my husband found out, he took the opportunity to tell me that he would fill in for her. Well, I guess it's better than being unemployed at least. I discussed this with my employees, but they all knew my husband from long ago. They willingly agreed to do so. I agreed to let my husband work in my store on the condition that when the sommelier employee returned to work, he would properly look for a new job of his own. And my husband worked surprisingly well. Perhaps it was because he was a salesman, but he was well received by customers. The regular customers would say, "So you and your husband are finally going to run the business together, huh?" And hearing that, I was thinking to myself that maybe this isn't so bad after all. However, my optimism was quickly shattered. That day was my first day off in 5 days. However, it was the day my accountant was coming over to our place, so I headed to the store to gather the necessary documents. As I entered the store through the back door, an employee hastily looked at me. "Good work." "What? What's wrong?"
Owner, Ted is...
Ted is what?
Please, come here for a minute.
I headed for the hall as the employee told me to. Then, I was shocked. Despite the fact that the restaurant was on a lunch break, a woman whom I've never seen before was enjoying her food in our kitchen. And next to her is my husband, who looks like he's getting carried away. So, I walked up to them. "Good work." My husband turned around surprisingly.
Victoria? Why? You're off today, right?
"Yes, but my accountant is coming over." "Who's this?" "Hi, I'm Myra."
Myra is a colleague of mine from the company I used to work at. She just happened to come by the store today, and I was on my lunch break, but she came all the way here to see me, so, you know, I couldn't just leave her there, could I?
"Do you always do this?"
No way, just this once. Right? Myra, right?
I guess so." "I see. Thank you for always taking care of my husband." "Yes, I do." "Well then, please take your time." Saying that, I went back into the other room.
This isn't his first time, owner. Whenever you're on your off.
"Yes, that's what I thought. Does that girl always come?"
This is the 3rd time she came here.
"Thanks for telling me." Judging from Ted being surprised like that, I'm sure Myra wasn't just his colleague. I finished my work with the accountant and started looking for an investigating agency. However, I couldn't find the right one. I searched in between jobs, but none of them seemed to really hit me well. In the meantime, he was probably being with Myra, getting carried away. As I thought that, I got more and more irritated. In the midst of all this, I went on a business trip with the chef in search of a new contract farmer. It was a one-day trip, but we returned home around 9 p.m. I was probably too tired to say I'm home, so I went inside the house without saying a word. Then, I heard some sound. It sounded like my husband was talking to someone on the phone.
I know. Just wait a little longer. I need to be trusted in the kitchen now. Yeah, maybe in a month it'll be fine. It's okay. I'll make it work. Once I'm in accounting, it's all ours. We can spend all the money we want.
Ted is probably talking to Myra on the phone. The reason my husband wanted to do accounting more than necessary was because of embezzlement, huh? What a bastard. This is where my affection for him completely dries out. The only option I have now is to divorce him. Then I made an appointment with the investigation agency, and to my surprise, the president of that agency was a regular customer at my store. So I shamelessly exposed everything to him. Then, with a mysterious look on his face, he agreed to accept my request. The investigation period was 1 week. My husband, who knew nothing about it, never doubted anything was going to happen to him. He is watching TV while humming in front of me. I wish I could do something to him so that he can't hum. My heart was just filled with anger. A week later, the investigation report came back. The result was shockingly what I had thought. I definitely needed to punish Ted for what he has done to me. I decided to take a revenge on him 3 days later on a regular holiday. I invited all the people involved to the store that day. I told my husband that we were going to discuss a new menu at the store. My stupid, simple-minded husband must think he is one of the core members of this store. I could also see that he is in a good mood. Yes, you are the star of the show today. We arrived at the restaurant and waited for the other people to come. The first person to appear was my lawyer I had hired.
Is he the contract farmer?
How stupid can he be? Can't he see how formally dressed my lawyer is with his briefcase? This is my lawyer.
Huh?
As my husband looked confused, another person came in.
What? Mom?
What is it? Calling me out of the blue like this?
Well, let's talk about Victoria's request right away. Victoria demands a divorce from her husband. Huh?
Huh? Ted and his mother, Wendy, overlaps each other.
What do you mean?
You're having an affair, aren't you?
No, I'm not. Of course not.
Then what's this? I put one of the photos I got from the private investigator on the table.
This is Myra, and she suddenly got sick and there was nothing I could do about it. So we went to a hotel. We didn't do anything here.
Then, what's this? I took out the second photo as I said this.
For this one, I got sick and...
Then what about this one? Without pausing, I take out the third picture.
This is,
Oh, that's enough. You don't like this woman, do you? Then why don't you just get a divorce? You don't need a woman like that, who eats all the money away. What? What do you mean about me eating all the money away? Victoria, you approached my son Ted for his money, didn't you? I knew that. This store, that house, the car, everything. Ted is working so hard to make up for the deficit, yet you want to divorce him and take his share of the property, right? You're a despicable woman.
Excuse me? What the hell is she saying?
Since you're like that, that's why he cheats on you. He can't be helped. I'm for the divorce, but I can't give you anything. From now on, I'll take care of the store, the house, the car, and everything that belonged to you. You will be on your own.
I look at my husband. My husband looks away in an obvious way. I see.
Oh, well, I guess you're not needed as his wife now.
Myra came in through the door.
I heard everything from outside, but if it all belongs to Ted, then there's no problem, right? Even if Victoria finds out about our affair.
Myra, let's see. Let me just organize everything right now. First of all, Wendy, this store, that house, and the car, those three are all my properties.
Huh?
This store is the one I have been working on for the past 10 years. I am the owner. In other words, I manage this shop. I have owned the house and the cars since before I got married to Ted. Therefore, nothing goes to you.
Wait, what do you mean?
Don't you understand? It means that your own son lied to you. Right, Ted? I guess I misunderstood a little.
Huh? You said you were going to get the money soon.
Hey, Myra, just get the hint, will you?
No, I know. You wanted to get into accounting because you wanted to embezzle the store's money, right? You've got to be kidding me, seriously. And just in time, the next two visitors arrived.
Jane, why?
What in the world is this?
And you too, Chloe, why?
Welcome. I'm Ted's wife. Wife? Wife? The two of them widen their eyes and won't move. Ted, you should just give up now. You can't fool them no matter how you try. I have all the data. Then my husband bursted out crying.
I'm sorry.
Seeing my husband like that, my mother-in-law got up and walked out. My mother-in-law was kind to me before we got married, but after we got married, she suddenly became cold. She must have believed Ted's lies as they were. Well, now is not the time to be worrying about Wendy who left. I have to crush my husband. He's crying even though he did everything to himself. What a pathetic scumbag. Jane and Chloe immediately apologized to me. Neither of them knew that Ted was completely married. I had also already investigated that. I apologized to them that my husband was sorry and promised to cooperate with them in sanctioning him at a later date, and had the two go home. And now it was Myra who trembled with anger. Ted, what do you mean by all of this? You said you wanted to divorce your wife. You said you would marry me if you divorced your wife. And who are those women just now? Ted then slowly looked up.
There's no way I'd do that for you. Myra, you and the girls from earlier on were there so that I could just have fun and play around. I don't want to marry a stupid girl anyways. I want a really smart girl for my wife.
Excuse me? What are you talking about? You were complaining about your wife a lot. Did you know that, Victoria? We've been dating since before you married Ted.
That's why I said you're really stupid. You're just a tool for me. Nothing more.
You're terrible. Bang. My full swing hit my husband clean on his left cheek. What are you talking about, disrespecting a woman like that? A tool? You've got to be kidding me. Then what are you? What is the point of you being there, huh? You're no more than a tool. Then I came back to my senses. I punched him in front of my lawyer. Quickly, I looked at my lawyer's face, and at that moment, my lawyer turned his face away. Thank you so much for pretending to not see it, even though you saw it.
Everyone, please calm down. We will inform you of the details of the divorce procedure and alimony in a sealed envelope at a later date.
Hearing this, Ted looked relieved at my lawyer's words. I guess he thought that if he could somehow get through this, he could somehow fool me with being flirty with me. So now he's getting carried away, thinking he could go home with me. No, you can't go home with me, okay? Please go back to Myra's place or wherever you like.
The only one I love is you, Victoria. That's why I'm going home with you.
Oh well, do as you please. Hearing this, my husband followed me back home quickly. On the way home, we passed by a neighborhood store and my husband said,
That's right, I'm going to buy your favorite sweets,
and went inside the store. Surely, under normal circumstances, I would be really pleased. However, I am in no state of mind to be fooled by that right now. I went straight home and locked the door. Then when my husband came home 5 minutes later, he couldn't enter the house. And that's because I changed the locks on the door. He seemed to ring the doorbell several times, but I completely ignored all of them. My husband persisted for an hour, but then he disappeared somewhere. About 6 months later, the divorce was finalized. My ex-husband had stubbornly continued to refuse the divorce, but he sank to his knees when my lawyer said, If you divorce in court, a judicial divorce will be entered in your family name, and signed the papers without hesitation. My ex-husband was kicked out of the house without a job and had to rely on his parents for support. and I heard that the two, Jane and Chloe, who had been having an affair without knowing that Ted was married, filed a claim for alimony against him, and Ted's mom, Wendy, had paid the amount in the end. To my surprise, Myra seriously loved Ted, and she then asked him to marry her because she would support him. However, Ted stubbornly refused her proposal. I heard that Myra was so persistent that he violently attacked her and was caught red-handed. Maybe Myra was just an honest, pure girl. She just fell right into Ted's trap. Well, I was also one of them too, so I can't really say anything. By that time, the sommelier who was hospitalized had returned to the restaurant, and the restaurant was able to return to normal operation. But I have had enough of romance. I'm getting older and stronger, and this time it was not that traumatic. In fact, it won't be long before I can talk about what all happened as a funny story. I will continue to spend my time here, taking good care of my store with my employees and my customers. Thank you for watching until the end. Please subscribe to our channel. See you in the next video.